Welcome to Never Too Serious with Scott and Dave. I'm Scott.
And I'm Dave.
Dave, we've got some drug issues going on, turns out.
Not in America.
No, oh, yeah. And in fact,
we're supposed to say no to that stuff, right?
I remember those, this is your brain on drugs, the fried egg.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Say no to drugs, and I don't think it took.
Yeah, it didn't.
No?
No, especially because now the government is talking about handing out drug paraphernalia. That's a hard word. Paraphernalia.
Wow. Yeah, try to do that. Try to say that while you're on drugs. What do you mean? They're handing out drug paraphernalia?
Yeah, a Biden administration recently.
Oh, of course.
No surprise. Yeah, here's a headline from the Washington Free Beacon. Biden admin to fund crack pipe distribution to advance racial equity.
Well,
boy, that's a loaded header.
That sounds a little bit racist too.
Mm-hmm.
How is that supposed to help racial equity?
Well, so
do I dare even ask? Because there can't even be a real answer to that, right? That's just BS, right?
Is
it like the Bernie Sanders when he was trying to, make it legal to sell drugs to help out the black people? Do you remember that?
No.
Oh my gosh, he said it out loud. You should look that up.
We have a criminal justice system today that is not only broken, it is racist. Got more people in jail than any other country on earth, including China. And one of the reasons for that is a horrific war on drugs. So I do believe that on day one, we will change the Federal Controlled Substance Act, which, if you can believe it, now equates heroin with marijuana. That's insane. We're going to take marijuana out of that and effectively legalize marijuana in every state in the country. What we are also going to do is move to expunge the records of those people who are arrested for possession of marijuana. And I'll tell you what else we're going to do. We're going to provide help to the African American, Latino, Native American community to start businesses to sell legal marijuana rather than let a few corporations control the legalized marijuana market.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, how is that not racist? Mm-hmm. Because, they got to make their money selling drugs. Really? That's what you think, Bernie?
Oh, man.
Oh, my gosh. It's insane. And, this does make sense from the Biden administration because the smartest man that Biden knows is Hunter. So he's probably like, hey.
Yeah.
How about you make some of this crack stuff free and hand it out, for racial equity. Yeah, let's do it for that reason. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Hunter could be, like the czar of this of these smoking kits.
Wow, that's unbelievable. They're really doing that, huh?
Yeah, this picture is disturbing.
Yeah, well, that's what crack is.
This is a nasty. Sorry, those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, check us out on Spotify or YouTube or Rumble. You can see the pictures.
Yeah, some dude sitting there lighting up his crack pipe. Yeah. Except for, was that I guess I'm not too familiar. That actually didn't look like a crack pipe with weed in it or something.
Yeah.
Because I thought a crack pipe, you like heated up the bottom of the glass. I don't know. I'm not too savvy with the whole crack. I just know it's kind of bad. Maybe our next show, we're going to grab some crack and maybe we'll get some of this free crack kits and try it out. I mean, it's
a hell of a show.
It'd probably be the last one we do too.
Yeah.
Find a new hobby.
Yeah. We're going to be divorced.
Yeah. Lose our teeth.
No, you're right. Actually, that pipe it looks like maybe that would be marijuana.
Now I'm all confused.
I wouldn't even say that looks like tobacco, but that's a fancy looking pipe.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But his nails are disgusting. Oh, God.
He's got to have something to nibble on while he's on crack.
That's kind of what it looks like. Sorry. All right, I'm gonna just read a little bit here.
Yeah, tell me what this is about. This is a mess.
Because there's some dispute about whether the government is actually handing out crack pipes. Because, well, I'll get to it.
Yeah,
there's a USA Today article about it. But anyway, this is from the Washington Free Beacon. The $30 million grant program, which closed applications Monday and will begin in May, will provide funds to nonprofit and local governments to make drug use safer for addicts. Yeah. Included in the grant, which is overseen by the Department of Health and Human Services, are funds for smoking kits and supplies.
Have you ever seen the show and it's what is it called when everybody gets together? Intervention.
Oh yeah.
And a huge thing that they talk about, which makes people worse off, is being the enabler.
Mm-hmm.
How is this supposed to help when we are enabling it? You're not going to go to jail. There's no consequence. In fact, we got your back. In fact, if you don't have the supplies, we'll hook you up with that too. Why are we enabling this? This is unbelievable.
Well, their spokesperson...
This is say yes to drugs.
Evidently, the spokesperson told the Free Beacon that these kits will provide pipes for users to smoke crack, cocaine, crystal meth, and other illicit substances.
Well, that's good. They can hand out syringes so they don't have to use dirty needles when they shoot up with heroin in their toes.
Yeah,
Are you kidding me?
Well, they're talking about they want to reduce the risk of infection from sharing, I guess, pipes.
Infection of what?
COVID? All kinds of different stuff, because they say cuts and sores.
Okay.
Because these are people that are like.
I remember they have scabby faces and stuff.
It's disgusting.
But, so you would still think what you would rather do is try to wipe off the crack from the face of the earth instead, right?
Yeah.
But no. Let's enable it, make a place for them, give them new crack pipes.
Well, and here's where the racial equity thing comes in.
Yeah, tell me about that.
The HHS said the kits aim to reduce the risk of infection when smoking substances with glass pipes, which can lead to infection through cuts and sores. Applicants for the grant are prioritized if they treat a majority of underserved communities, including African American and LGBTQ plus persons, as established under the President Joe Biden executive order on advancing racial equity. So now this to me does not seem like it's supportive. You were just talking about enabling. This doesn't sound good at all. How is this a good thing for these two communities?
And how about this? How about why aren't the black people stepping up and saying, hey, you know what? We're not all about crack.
Yeah.
In fact, I know a handful of black people. I don't think I know any of them that do crack.
When does BLM come out and say?
And how is that a racial?
Mm-hmm.
Do they even know what racial means? They don't even. Mm-hmm. It's a minority group, and how come the LGBTQ are in extra need of crack pipes?
Yeah, why is it that these particular communities should be prioritized?
Yeah.
To then be provided or enabled to do this particular
Am I, as a white male, more capable of going out and buying new crack pipes on a regular and get my own crack? But these people are not capable of it? What? It just doesn't make any sense, right?
Doesn't make any sense.
No matter how you paint it.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds racist to me. I'm sorry. It sounds racist and bigoted.
I agree.
You're not supposed to put everything in one.
There's not a whole logic in this particular thing.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they go on to say Democrat-run cities such as San Francisco and Seattle have distributed smoking kits to residents. Some local government, however, have in recent years backed away from their smoking kit program over concerns they enable drug use, like in Louisville,
They're just
Kentucky.
Concerned about it, or it is doing it?
Yeah. Louisville, Kentucky, for example, allowed convenience stores to sell smoking kits, but later banned them. Legislators in Maryland ditched their distribution plan after facing backlash from the local law enforcement and African American leaders. Well, good. There should be some, local leaders, in this case, African American leaders that stand up and say, stop doing this.
Don't do this on our behalf.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah,
in fact, do I dare say, I think the majority of people I think that do crack are white people. If I can remember, if I see some crazy cracked out person down on the street, it's some crazy white dude out there freaking out. Oh my heavens.
We do live in more of a more white community, and it's true. Like the drug problems, the homelessness problems, it is, I would say, significantly more white in our particular area. I don't see a whole lot of people of color suffering from the same addiction and homelessness issues that a lot of these other white people do.
Make it sound like they're freaking helpless, and they're not. They're freaking more capable, if not just as capable as we are, for doing bad things and good things.
Yeah, but we've already identified what the main problem is here: drug use. It doesn't. Why does color or sexual orientation have anything to do?
I think
with
it helps sell their agenda because they're doing it for good reasons to help out the minorities.
Yeah, it looks like President Joe Biden's executive order on advancing racial equality.
Maybe he has
not equality,
equity, perhaps.
Oh, don't want to screw those two up. Yeah, that's something else, isn't it?
It blows me away. I know we've done a show on, about here in Oregon, they allowed you to carry all types of drugs on you now without doing any major time or anything, and it blows me away. I mean, I'm kind of a to each their own on marijuana and alcohol, because alcohol is a drug. But we're talking, alcohol can destroy lives.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's destroyed probably more than any other ones.
Yeah.
And it's okay. But when you're talking about heroin and crack and stuff, I don't like hearing that we're essentially giving up the fight. We're just trying to help you along so you could, do it safer now.
It's just crazy
make it easier for you, because maybe, and you're going to give a nice crack pipe, and how come that brand new crack pipe of theirs, that's still going to give diseases to the next guy if they share it, if that's what they're concerned, whether it's an old one or not. And they have a lighter, just burn it and get it all hot so it kills all the stuff on it. Oh my gosh. Aren't they wearing masks? They should be good.
When you're all cracked out, I don't think logic really comes into play.
Well,
here.
That's why they have these little, what do you call them? Places to go and get high?
Yeah, these safe shoot-up sites. So
you're going to get mugged there because everybody, you got crack? I need crack. You go there and they've got crack.
Yeah, so...
It's crack cocaine.
Okay, so I was wrong. It wasn't USA Today. It was a Washington Post. And they have a headline that says, "No, the federal government isn't spending $30 million on crack pipes." Well,
it's $300 million. No, I'm just kidding.
So, just reading the article here, it says, conservative figures have launched an online furor. Oh,
that doesn't sound good either.
Sound good at all. This week, claiming that the government planned to spend $30 million on pipes for smoking crack cocaine. The heightened concern came months after the Department of Health and Human Services announced a federal grant for local programs to provide a myriad of harm reduction tools or services that minimize the risk associated with drug use, including distributing drug paraphernalia such as clean needles. Oh my goodness. Republicans.
Oh, so they're doing that.
Yeah.
I was kidding.
No, that's true. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they do.
Of course they do.
This is not just about smoking kits. This goes beyond. Republicans seized on crack pipes, causing the phrase to trend on Twitter on Tuesday, the latest in continued resistance from the GOP against harm reduction techniques at a time when people are dying of drug overdose and record rates in the United States. Well, yeah, of course.
Where do you think they're going to go? Are they even going to go to these places? I mean, come on. Who wants to go get all cracked out around somebody you don't know?
So the article goes on, and the headline here says, what is the grant for? Okay. In a first of its kind federal grant to be distributed by the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, a branch of the HHS, the Human Health Services.
Yeah, I guess.
Dozens of organizations across the country would be able to spend the money over 3 years on a pre-approved list of resources, including referrals to treatment, infectious disease testing kits, condoms, and vaccinations for hepatitis A and B. Also on the list, safe smoking kits. Typically, such kits include rubber mouthpieces to prevent cuts and burns, brass screens to filter contaminants, and disinfectant wipes, according to the Harm Reduction International.
Are they just like, hey, come on, guys, you have this. Hey, vote here and vote for these people here. I mean, what's their angle?
Yeah, what is their angle? Because what they're talking about is enabling.
Right.
They're providing these things.
You have your government cheese, government crack pipe. It's probably cheaply made.
We've talked in the past about, the solution can't be worse than the problem. Okay, I can't say that the solution here is any better than the problem. What they're doing is they're enabling them to continue to do their drug habits. Right. And that to me seems way more harmful than maybe, getting a cut or burning themselves.
And perhaps there might be more users now because they know that they're getting soft on drugs.
Yeah.
I mean, it just blows me away. I have a hard time. I usually don't have a hard time coming up with something to say, but it just blows me away that there's, quote, important people coming up with these ideas, and then they have to take it to a board of somebody, and that board has to go, sounds like a plan. Let's go with it. And then our tax dollars are going to be funding them. Now, guess what? Well, we better make the government crack because we don't want the stuff that might have impurities that could kill them.
Oh,
like you have to have the heroin. You don't want people dying of a bad batch of heroin now, do you?
Oh my gosh!
Watch, they're just trying to get in on the drug. I mean, they're already really in on drugs too, but now the illegal ones.
That's a good angle, Dave.
Well, what is it? What possibly positive thing could be coming of this?
Yeah, where could this end up
for anybody?
Mm-hmm.
Unless they're hoping, I don't even know.
I want to know where like the serious, like the really good drug counselors, what their opinion is on this particular thing, because most, not most, but a lot of those drug counselors are former addicts, and they come in and they support people in trying to kick the habit or somehow get away from it. But this to me makes like no sense, and those people probably would say, yeah, we can't enable this. The reason that they are drug addicts is because other people have allowed them to continue down this path.
Right.
There's no resolving the problem of drug addiction.
It's almost
if
like
they continue to do drugs.
They want them to keep doing it, so hopefully they die faster. I mean, I don't understand. Other than sitting there trying to, maybe they just want to like keep them out of our jails, or I don't know.
Well, they've decriminalized it. You said it in Oregon. They decriminalized the heavier drugs. And unless you're carrying a certain amount, and then I think then you can get charged.
No, I think in Oregon, it's one of those things. Do you have enough for everybody in the room? Mm. Now you're going to jail. You have to have enough to share throughout the whole max. Mm-hmm. I mean,
is that gum in your mouth? Did you bring enough for everyone?
That's right. You have to have tons of it, or else you're going to jail, buddy. Mm-hmm. I mean, why not go that way? I'm telling you, this is so bad for our population. Mm-hmm. And then what are they going to be responsible for when they leave? The example is, I go to a bar and I get too shitty and I leave, and the bar could be held responsible because I left drunk and I just Who's going to be responsible for all these crackheads that they release out of their freaking smoke areas?
Yeah.
And now they're just going to release them through the city to go create havoc, or are they going to assure that they've calmed down? I mean, before they get released, and what makes them think that they're not going to sit there the whole time? I mean, come on, because next thing you know, they're going to have to provide lunches and beverages and stuff because they've been there for 8 hours all jacked up on crack. Mm-hmm. I mean, when does it end? Well, we got to get some beds in there too and some housing systems. You might as well do that and just let them have the best 6 months of their lives they can, because that's all they're going to have.
Yeah, where's the legal liability on this?
Right. They're going to just let them get all cracked out, and then it's our responsibility. Send them out to the public, and now they're going to have to deal with crazy crackheads. I mean, I had one guy that we were going to Kohl's store, and I was taking my daughter shopping, and there's this crazy cracked out dude, and you could hear him just yelling and just violent. And then there's this poor lady comes around on a hover around little cart, and she has to go down the sidewalk. And the guy, I mean, I was ready to go. The guy, he acted like he was going to push her over, and didn't. But that's how insane the stuff makes people just crazy. And so in fact, but anyways, that's just what my point is they're going to go out and be violent. I mean, this is not like it's not like the guys out there, these people are out there smoking weed and they come out and go, hey man, No, I'm really chilled. I just need to know where I could get something to drink and something to eat.
Yeah, some cheesy poofs.
You know what I mean? This alters people's state of mind in a heavy way, and you don't know how they're going to react. You don't know if they're going to sit there and talk to the wall, or if they're going to go. I don't even know. Just they're crazy. I don't know if you ever watch crackheads. They'll be dancing out in the middle of the street.
Well, they're
getting naked.
They're unpredictable. I think that's the scary part.
Unpredictable. Yeah.
We've talked about some of the homeless issues, and I ran into this issue at work where a homeless person swung his walking stick at me, and laying down next to him was his crack pipe, and you could tell he was not all there, but in those situations, you just don't know if they're going to do something that's irrational. I mean, what normal person would be swinging at me with a stick, and who knows what direction, what else maybe they're carrying, but what other freakish thing that they might end up doing and not totally have a logical reason to do it.
Why not the government try to support us to be safer around crackheads instead of supporting them? Yeah. You're supporting the crackheads, not just crackheads, but apparently all the heroin users and all that stuff too. But who's supporting the people that go to work? We have to walk over these people. We have to, when they're cracked out, passed out in the middle of the road or in the street, and when they're violent, we're the ones that have to deal with it. Why not put funds into us instead of them?
What do you think is like I mean, you already kind of said it doesn't make any sense, but what do you think their angle is here? I mean, they're not supporting voters, right? These people are cracked out. They're not voters.
They're not gonna...
So what is it that they accomplish here? Or is it just PR?
It has to be, because, I mean, how about this? For starters, in the very beginning, we talked about, they're helping out the African American community,
the equity
and
stuff,
the LGBTQ stuff. So, that is a huge deal to a certain group of peoples, and so,
well, they can
playing along with. I mean,
they can make the argument that the people on the right, the Republicans, are against all the minorities.
Yes, that's that.
Maybe that's the whole PR thing. It's their push.
But at the same time, they're promoting drug use to those specific people more so than everybody else.
Well, it's like the abortion stuff. Originally Planned Parenthood, the person who started, and I can't remember her name, that started Planned Parenthood was a racist, and she wanted to basically reduce the number of black babies, and so she created this big old organization, which now is promoted as women's health, but really, if you look at the number of minority babies that were killed, that's equivalent to genocide.
Well, yes, and they've even utilized this last, even like during Trump's era, that we've got to keep. You can't shut down Planned Parenthood, and they brought up because of the African American communities. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, Margaret Sanger.
Yeah,
there you go.
So it's. I just think it's a game, and it's at the cost of all of our lives. Because I make fun of the crackheads because, because they're all jacked up. But that could be you and me. If we took a wrong turn and we decided to try it once and we're screwed up, we're good people, and these people could have been good people too that just went off the rocker, and they might need some help, might be able to still be good people afterwards, maybe twitch once in a while, but they might be able to help people, maybe be able to, be a counselor like you were talked about. They're ex-addicts,
But that all these drug problems that exist right now have, in all of the lightening of the prosecution of these offenses, has contributed to the homeless population, to vandalism, to robbery, to trespass. All of these things have gone up, and mostly because we've, in some cases, enabled or just allowed this drug behavior to continue.
Right.
The whole idea of the war against drugs, and how the United States was trying to, do all this. I don't know how, much of a war and what their tactics were through the years. I'm sure there's some historical context.
Yeah.
But I think allowing it or enabling it like it is, you can see right away that it contributes to this
more drug activity.
Yeah, more drug activity and downfall of our communities.
Right. I mean, during the whole Oregon passing the law of not getting in trouble for carrying a certain amount on you and all that stuff is they said, the war on drugs, well, the drugs won.
Mm-hmm.
I would at least like to know that we're putting funds into fighting to attempt to eliminate drugs, not making it more accessible and places to do it.
Yeah.
And I don't need, if they just think, well, we just want to be there to make sure you're safe and make sure that we could help you if you OD. And like, I don't need the government up my ass all the time in every angle, If I want to tie one on and get drunk and pass out and, outside of my house somewhere, I don't want you over there looking at me because you're going to throw me in jail.
Mm-hmm.
But, I just, they don't need to be in our lives all the time. And they don't need to be pushing fucking drugs on people. Come on. That's what it is. If you say it's okay. I remember not too long ago that if you went into a head shop or a place and they sold bongs, you couldn't even call them bongs. They're
water pipes.
Tobacco water pipes or something like that. And now, because of the government, because of the laws, and now they're going to issue them for it to you.
Mm-hmm.
It makes zero sense. Zero sense. I'm not even going to go back to our founding fathers, but some of our leaders who aren't with us anymore are probably rolling in their graves that they can't even believe that this is what people that are leading this country are coming up with and implementing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, don't they have to vote on this? Who's saying it's okay?
Well, in some cases, no. It's the leaders that were voted in have the power to create some of these things. I mean, there are budgets that get created by the people we've elected to provide certain, human services. In this case, the HHS is, they've got all this funding, and so they can develop these programs to do what they want to do. And there's not really, unless we get different leaders to tell those organizations not to do what they're doing. But we have, the Biden administration and their advancing racial equity executive order is creating an environment where these things are happening.
Right. I mean, next thing you know, we're going to have a place for all the hookers out there. If you're going to get a hook, you don't want to do it in your car.
Well, we're
going to have a nice place for you to do it, and we can disinfect, and we'll even have some people from the state clean up the rooms, so you could have the next John or whatever you want to call him to show up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're supporting and promoting illegal activity.
Yeah. Why not prostitution?
Why not? I mean, they're going to have to go down and see, what category they could use, what minority group that they could put it under to sell it first, so they could look good.
I'm not saying that prostitution is one of those really good things, but I think that the harmful sides of prostitution is probably not as serious as drug abuse and people getting cracked out.
Well, if they're worried about giving out these new crack pipes because they're worried about diseases, well, yeah, prostitution's
sure, but they could still provide the facilities, and they could provide the testing,
and the sanitizer,
the sanitizer, the condoms and all the other things. So sure, you could apply the same particular model with a sex kit,
right,
for the prostitutions, or the prostitutes. Now, my political leaning is libertarian, and so I do want the government out of my business. I figure what I do at home is my business; it's not anyone else's. Right. And so I think if someone wants to smoke crack at home, as much as I think that crack is bad for you, it's in your own house. You're not out there in society creating other problems.
And I shouldn't have to pay for them to do their crack.
Sure, absolutely.
And I shouldn't have to make sure that they have a safe place to do their crack. Because is there a safe place to do crack, really? Is there really a safe? I mean,
maybe the metaverse or something. I mean, I don't know. There might be some of the virtual crack pipe smoking.
I don't think that there's even even with the doctors around you and a padded room, I don't think just doing crack in itself isn't safe. So there's no real safe place to do crack.
Well, and we're just talking crack at this point, but again, they're talking about other tools, other accessories, other things that would, we're talking about needles and what other drugs could they now start either, providing support for? Now, some of these said that you're not allowed to, these places are not allowed to distribute drugs, but you're allowed to bring in your own, and they're just going to provide you with the tools to utilize it. And at what point?
That sounds unbelievable.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Hey, it just sounds like, when like a young kid's under 21 and their parents are, say, listen, I'm gonna buy you the alcohol because it's safer underneath my roof. That way I could watch you. And it's like, you don't have to buy them alcohol. You don't have to make it easier for them, because guess what? Now it's going to be every weekend. It might be harder one week. Here's this perfect example. When I was a kid trying to do the same damn thing, 16, 18, 17, somewhere around there. And if we can't get anybody to buy it, well, we didn't get to drink that night. If we have somebody to go buy it for us, we're drinking it all the time. Don't enable it. I understand the concept of some of it, but at least, how about this? If you're going to be that, quote, cool parent and you're going to come over and you could drink in my house so I could watch you, make them get their own shit. Don't go out there. Make it so it's not all the time.
And make it not so easy.
And remember these things. How about this? We've talked a little bit about this. Is if I was to be that, quote, cool parent and let my daughter come here and get drunk and let her friends, I'm responsible and liable for all of that. I could do jail time. Why in the hell aren't these people?
Yeah.
It should be the same. I mean, really.
Well, think about the example, though, of being that cool parent and allowing the kids to come over and drink or whatever. I think in our upbringing, maybe is a little bit different than some other folks because we were kind of in a somewhat conservative home where you don't have a whole lot of drinking going on at home. I don't know about, your exact childhood in that area, but I certainly didn't have alcohol in the house. Both my parents didn't drink. None of my immediate family.
The only alcohol in your house is the alcohol that your brother and I brought into it. Oh, so bad.
It's true. But, for us, I grew up in an environment where I wasn't around people who drank, and I didn't understand. I had a fear of drinking. Like there was this scary idea that you have a beer and now you're drunk and now you're unpredictable. You're going to do violent things. To me, growing up, it seemed to me that this was a very dangerous thing to get involved in. And so you stay away from it. The problem is that at some point you start to realize that a lot of other people are doing it and it's not harming them. And so then you kind of get involved in it. And then you haven't had the experience of responsible people around you to then make responsible decisions. A lot of my friends growing up that had, like when I went to public school eventually, the friends that were the trustworthy, the responsible ones were actually the kids that actually started drinking earlier in their own household, but it wasn't like they were drinking a lot. It was just they were around responsible adults. And once in a while they could taste, wine or whatever it was, but they weren't home getting drunk. It was just they understood the risks much better than us.
A lot less curiosity.
Yeah,
just like
the pastor's kids that we had that went crazy as soon as they got introduced to it.
Yeah, and when it was funny because your brother and I, for the most part, when some of our buddies that we went to school with, friends that we went to school with in a private school. When they got out of school and they went crazy, and we were almost done with that scene, hitting the bars hard and doing all this stuff. We still might go to the bars, but it wasn't like all the time. It was like, kids, listen here. We're the same age, but like you guys are like 4 or 5 years behind us. But it kind of goes the same with like firearms in the house. Somebody that that sees the guns and gets to handle them and knows them. Somebody that never gets to see one sees them. Whoa, they're completely intrigued, or curiosity could get the better of them when somebody else handles them, and it's not a big deal.
It becomes dangerous if they haven't been exposed to them. Yeah. Well, in the other areas, I mean, we're just talking alcohol, but in other areas like with smoking weed or doing kind of any other like drugs, you get to see in your household if your parents are doing that, or you've got friends or other relatives or friends of your parents come over and they see that those particular things are actually damaging. And the same thing with alcohol, of course. If you're drinking too much and it creates a problem and your kids are watching you, then it imprints something in their brain, and maybe that's going to change the way they proceed in the future. And it can actually be a good deterrent.
Could be. I'm a firm believer in, and I know when I was growing up, it was mostly said about cigarettes. Like, yeah, if there's smoking cigarettes in the house, you've got like I can't remember the percentage, but I'm going to make one up, 95% chance that you're going to be a smoker too. And it's kind of, a lot of times if you're religious in that household, you're going to be religious too. It's kind of just how you're growing up. Same thing with if you have wine at the dinner table, why wouldn't they have wine at their dinner table when they grow up, And, but it could be a little, you have to be cautious with whatever, because I have a beverage here and there, and, I know my daughter knows that I have a beverage, and I don't want her to think that it's that easy or to do it all the time, or, so I try to also be responsible when we are, having a beverage here and there. So I get worried because now I see that she is seeing me have beverages. She's definitely going to have one too one of these days, you know. And but I want to say for the most part, I don't know. I've had friends that were literally alcoholics while they were in high school. They have gone through programs, and they were like 14 when they were heavy alcoholics. That's unbelievable. Crazy. Yeah. And I was a sophomore year in high school when I found out one of my friends was recovered alcoholic, and it's unbelievable. And so it's hard. It's hard to for me to like see this stuff that they're pushing, their government's giving and enabling everybody, because anything you do from food to heavy drugs, man, you got to be cautious what you do. You could ruin your life.
Yeah. From
getting too heavy or, to OD and you're dead.
Yeah. Well, the other side that I'm looking at it from is I really wish that parents would be more in control of their household, their kids, the
communication.
Yeah, the potential for the kid to pick up some bad things, and that a lot of the responsibility should be placed on their shoulders and, of course, in their home. In this particular case, it looks like we're kind of allowing the government to take over those particular roles.
And they need to stay out of more of every angle of our lives. That's what they're trying to do, is get into every angle of our lives. I mean,
well, think about the education side, where a lot of these services are provided at schools to, give health advice, and they were handing out condoms and other things for kids. And it kind of takes what the responsibility should be for the parents away. And in these particular cases where you've got drug safe spaces to do drugs provided by the government, well, wait a minute. Now there's another layer here. If someone wants to go out and do these things, well, where are the parents? Where was the support and the influence? Yeah. You were talking about these interventions, and there are families that it's like, yeah, you've got to have a sit down and talk to these people and get them to kind of wake up. But you've just kind of allowed, if these other places exist, now you've kind of allowed them to go to this other supposed safe space. Right. And you don't have to worry about the other dangers, because now you get to continue your habit in a safer place.
Right. Assuming
doesn't make any sense.
Right. It is again unbelievable. They're not giving up the war on drugs. They're just using drugs for some other reason.
Yeah. I want to know what the move
is. I know it.
I want to know what their big move is here. I know that the whole equity thing, and providing services to, minorities or whatever as a priority group. I can see where the government is trying to win some points with the population. Oh yeah, we support all these.
I just think that that's false.
But I think that the method that they're using is bothersome. My understanding is that, the more free stuff and the more that the government steps in to take care of you, the more people will just kind of submit to them.
Right.
So I guess I can understand that side of it. But on the right side of this particular issue, it just seems like we need to be promoting people to actually take responsibility for themselves, and if avoid getting started in the first place. But if you do get started, then there should be some resources, and hopefully that starts with your family first, your family and friends first. And, there are organizations, hospitals, and others out there that will, nonprofits that are not government related that can support folks. When my tax dollars goes to pay for these shoot up sites, it angers me because I don't want my tax dollars to go towards something that's enabling further bad behavior. I want my tax dollars to provide something that's like, police and fire and, maybe some safe roads.
I was just going to say, some new roads. Build that shit back better. This isn't building back better, given this enabling drugs.
And they shouldn't be prioritizing minority communities. They should be identifying the areas that need the most and take care of those first. It should have nothing to do with the race or sexual orientation.
Right. And, it's also the Biden administration that pushes the systemic racism. The hell do you think this is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What if this what if this thing that said we're gonna go with underserved communities in the white American and straight communities, because that's part of the executive order of advancing racial equity. People would be angry. You can't just say, oh yeah, we're going to take care of the black community. Well, that excludes a lot of other communities that are just in the same need as the black community.
Everybody is affected by drugs.
Yeah.
Everybody. And I don't know the percentages, but because there's more white people, there's probably more white people that are crackheads in just percentages. I mean, but the
issue is
not a black problem.
Yeah.
It's a everybody problem. And I try not to get offended or anything, but I take offense to that just like with the voting, that you can't have, this was an argument, I don't know if it still is, but you can't have voter ID because, black people will not be able to vote as much. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What the hell is that?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Yeah, that's racist. And I don't know why I swear that was still what they're pushing, but that's what they had pushed over why we can't have, it's a racist thing to have is ID.
Yeah. And the crux of it is not having ID. So let's support people in getting ID. It has nothing to do with race.
Right.
If you want to vote,
they just use that as a requirement tool for them. They use the LGBTQ community should be pissed because they're using their name. Same with the black African American black community. Are using them to promote whatever the hell they're trying to push here.
Yeah.
And they should be pissed.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I like the quotes from Kentucky and was it Maryland, where folks stepped up, law enforcement folks, and then members of the black community stepped up and said, "Nope, we're not going to do this." And good for them. That's the way it should be.
Yep, and maybe that should say something that they're trying to hand out condoms because they don't want you guys to breed anymore.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, yeah, with all the the Margaret Sanger philosophies out there. What do you say? You have anything else to add to this?
No, I'm good and angered about this.
Yeah, I know.
That they did.
I know.
Oh.
Maybe too serious.
No, yeah. Yep. We should have hit the crack pipe before we did this one. We probably had a lot more fun.
No, I have work to do later, so. All right. Thanks again for watching. If you don't mind, give us a thumbs up and write some comments on our YouTube channel. You can catch more video on the Spotify and on Rumble. And you can find more information on our website.
Never2series.com. Check it out.
Yeah, and we do have some merch on there. So get it on there. Find yourself a little shirt.
I don't know if you ever noticed, but Scott and I have been wearing our fancy little jackets and shirts, and it has our little logos on the back. But yeah, you should check it out.
Yeah, there's some good stuff out there.
Yep.
All right, until we see you next time, take care.
And be safe.